For privacy reasons, names and places have been changed. This story is inspired by true events.
On a crisp autumn morning in 2001, 26-year-old newlywed Sienna Park was taking wedding photos at the Goat Island overlook in Niagara Falls, NY. Moments after the final shot, she stepped away from her party to take a call. Her clutch bag was later found on a nearby bench. She never returned. Despite an extensive search of the treacherous rapids and surrounding parkland, Sienna vanished without a trace, leaving behind only a single, torn veil strand snagged on a corroded handrail. For 15 agonizing years, her loved ones lived with agonizing uncertainty, clinging to fragmented hopes. Then, in 2016, a deeper truth began to emerge from that very piece of tool, revealing a meticulously hidden deception. This is the complete investigation into what happened to Sienna Park. Before we continue, let us know where you're watching from, and if you enjoy this content, consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Now let's continue. The roar of Niagara Falls is a constant, a primal force shaping the landscape and human experience. Millions visit each year, drawn by its immense power and breathtaking beauty, yet beneath the spectacle lies an inherent, unforgiving danger. It was against this iconic backdrop, on a seemingly joyous autumn day in 2001, that a young woman vanished without a trace, leaving behind a mystery that would baffle investigators for over a decade. Sienna Park was 26 years old, a newlywed brimming with the promise of a future she had just begun to build. Friends and family described her as vivacious, optimistic, and deeply in love. Her wedding day, just hours before, had been everything she dreamed of, culminating in a picturesque photo shoot at one of Niagara's most famous vantage points, Goat Island. This small island, nestled between the American and Bridal Veil Falls, offers unparalleled views of the churning rapids and the majestic cascades, making it a favored location for tourists, and on this particular day, a radiant bride and groom. The photo session was in full swing, capturing moments of pure bliss against the thundering water. Sienna, still in her exquisite gown, laughed and posed with her new husband, the very picture of happiness. Then a phone call interrupted the idyllic scene. Stepping a short distance away from the group, Sienna moved towards a quiet bench, seeking a moment of privacy to take the call. It was the last time many would see her. Minutes later, as the photo shoot concluded, the absence of the bride became apparent. Her clutch bag containing her personal effects rested undisturbed on the very bench where she had last been seen, a silent testament to her sudden departure. Karina Dubois, Sienna's maid of honor and closest friend, was among the first to notice. Her initial casual search quickly turned to a growing unease as her calls for Sienna went unanswered. The small group began to spread out, their cheerful banter replaced by murmurs of concern, then outright alarm. The vastness of Goat Island, once a picturesque setting, suddenly felt cold and overwhelming. The realization descended with a chilling finality. Sienna Park, a bride just hours married, had vanished into thin air, mere moments after her wedding photographs were taken, swallowed by the mystery of Niagara Falls. The alarm that swept through Goat Island quickly escalated into an official response as emergency services converged on the scene. Sirens wailed across the natural thunder of the falls, and flashing blue and red lights cut through the twilight, transforming the picturesque overlook into a nascent crime scene. Law enforcement officers, park rangers, and rescue personnel arrived in force, their initial objective clear: locate Sienna Park. The search efforts commenced with immediate urgency. Teams fanned out across Goat Island, meticulously combing every path, bench, and wooded area, their flashlights piercing the deepening gloom. The treacherous terrain near the falls presented unique challenges, but no stone was left unturned. Simultaneously, the immense power of Niagara Falls itself became a focal point. Marine units launched boats into the turbulent waters below the cascades, navigating the powerful currents, while helicopters with high-intensity searchlights began to crisscross the skies, their rotors adding another layer of noise to the already deafening environment. The scale of the operation reflected the gravity of the situation. A young woman, a newlywed, had simply vanished into one of the world's most formidable natural wonders. Investigators immediately began interviewing those present at the photo shoot. Karina Dubois, Sienna's maid of honor, provided a detailed account of the day, her initial joy now replaced by a raw, palpable distress. Others from the wedding party were questioned, each attempting to recall Sienna's demeanor, her phone call, and any subtle detail that might offer a clue. Yet, their collective memories painted a consistent, frustrating picture. Sienna had stepped away, seemingly for a private conversation, and had not returned. No one witnessed a struggle, heard a cry for help, or saw anyone suspicious approach her. The initial hours were a whirlwind of speculation and professional analysis. Authorities grappled with several early theories. Was this a tragic accident, a misstep near the powerful rapids, resulting in an accidental fall into the unforgiving waters? Could it have been a desperate act of suicide, an unthinkable end to what should have been a new beginning? Or, perhaps most sinister of all, had Sienna Park been abducted, snatched from a public place in broad daylight? The lack of any immediate witnesses to a struggle, the absence of a body, and the solitary piece of physical evidence, Sienna's clutch bag left on the bench, only deepened the mystery. The first critical hours and days passed with agonizing slowness, and the mounting frustration within the investigative team grew as progress remained elusive. As days bled into weeks, and weeks into agonizing months, the frantic search for Sienna Park yielded no substantial leads. The initial intensity of the investigation, fueled by the shock of a vanished bride, slowly began to wane. The vastness of Niagara Falls, once a symbol of natural wonder, became a silent, formidable witness to an unsolved enigma. Law enforcement continued their efforts, but without a body, a clear crime scene, or any credible eyewitness accounts of foul play, their resources eventually reached a point of diminishing returns. The media, initially captivated by the sensational story of a newlywed disappearing at an iconic landmark, gradually shifted its focus. Headlines that once screamed of a missing bride became smaller, then disappeared altogether from the front pages. The public's attention, ever fickle, moved on to other events, leaving Sienna Park's case to fade from the collective consciousness, though never from the hearts of those who knew her. For Sienna's family and friends, the passage of time brought no solace, only a deepening void. Karina Dubois, her maid of honor, bore a particular burden of grief and unanswered questions. The memory of Sienna, vibrant and full of life just moments before her disappearance, haunted her. Without a body to mourn or a clear explanation for what transpired, the grieving process became an impossible maze, trapped between hope and despair. Every passing holiday, every anniversary, served as a stark reminder of Sienna's absence, a constant ache that refused to heal. Eventually, the inevitable designation arrived. With no new evidence emerging and all initial avenues exhausted, the case of Sienna Park was officially classified as a cold case. The files, once actively worked by a dedicated team, were carefully cataloged and shelved, awaiting the elusive breakthrough that might one day breathe new life into the investigation. It remained active in name, a commitment that the authorities had not forgotten Sienna, but in practice, the daily pursuit of answers ceased. The mystery of Sienna Park's disappearance settled over Niagara Falls like a permanent, chilling fog, an enduring question mark that haunted the landscape and everyone connected to the vanished bride for years to come. What truly happened to Sienna Park on that fateful day remained an agonizing, unresolved puzzle. 15 years crawled by, each one adding another layer of dust to the files of Sienna Park's disappearance. The initial urgency had long faded, replaced by the quiet ache of an unresolved tragedy. The case, once a prominent headline, had receded into the annals of unsolved mysteries, a haunting local legend whispered among those who remembered the vanished bride. For Karina Du Bois and Sienna's family, however, the passage of time offered no true respite, only a prolonged agony of uncertainty. The vast, powerful Niagara Falls continued its relentless roar, an indifferent backdrop to their enduring grief. Its secrets held fa. Since then, in the autumn of 2016, a seemingly insignificant detail emerged from the depths of that long-forgotten day. Niagara Falls, particularly Goat Island, remained a bustling tourist destination, its infrastructure constantly maintained against the corrosive power of water and weather. During a routine inspection of the overlook's safety features, a park maintenance worker made a peculiar observation. Wedged deep within the severe corrosion of an old handrail, directly overlooking the churning rapids where the water plunged towards the lower Niagara River, was a small, delicate piece of fabric. It was white, translucent, and barely visible against the rust-streaked metal. The fragment was carefully retrieved, its ethereal quality immediately suggesting a bridal accessory. Forensic examination quickly confirmed its significance. The delicate tool, barely an inch in length, was positively identified as a section of a wedding veil. Further analysis, cross-referencing with Karina Du Bois's detailed description of Sienna's wedding attire and available photographs, confirmed the unthinkable. This torn strand belonged to Sienna Park's veil, the very one she had worn on her wedding day, just moments before she vanished. The corroded handrail, a silent witness for a decade and a half, had finally yielded a tangible clue. The discovery sent a jolt through the cold case unit. The seemingly insurmountable barrier of time had been breached by a microscopic thread. The once shelved files were pulled from storage, their contents re-examined with a fresh, electrifying urgency. For Sienna's family, the news was a complex mix of renewed hope and agonizing pain. The possibility of answers after so many years of silence was a powerful, almost overwhelming sensation. The case of Sienna Park, the bride who vanished at Niagara Falls, was officially reopened, no longer a cold file but a live investigation, reignited by a single, fragile piece of tool. The discovery of Sienna Park's veil fragment, a tangible link to her disappearance after 15 years, fundamentally altered the trajectory of the investigation. The cold case files, once relegated to a distant shelf, were now at the forefront, meticulously pulled from storage and spread across conference tables. Detectives, some of whom were not even on the force in 2001, approached the voluminous binders with a new perspective, scrutinizing every report, every witness statement, and every piece of photographic evidence with the benefit of hindsight and advanced forensic capabilities unavailable a decade and a half prior. This re-evaluation was not merely a review. It was a complete recontextualization of a dormant tragedy, seeking overlooked anomalies or connections that might have been dismissed in the initial, frantic hours. The torn veil strand itself became the epicenter of this renewed inquiry. Transferred to a state-of-the-art forensic laboratory, the delicate tool underwent an exhaustive examination. Technicians, working under high-magnification microscopes, meticulously searched for any trace evidence. Fibers, dust, pollen, skin cells, or minute particles that could offer a physical signature of Sienna's last known moments. Every fold and fiber was analyzed, hoping to extract DNA, identify specific environmental contaminants, or reveal residues that could point to an unknown location or interaction. The veil, a silent witness, was now compelled to speak its secrets through the language of science. With the veil's location pinpointed, investigators returned to Goat Island. The corroded handrail, the specific bench where Sienna's clutch had been found, and the surrounding overlook area were revisited, not just with memory, but with precision mapping and advanced imaging techniques. The scene was treated as if the disappearance had just occurred, every inch scrutinized for subtle changes over time, potential hidden access points, or overlooked details that the initial, less sophisticated search might have missed. They sought to reconstruct Sienna's movements, imagining the scenario that led a piece of her veil to snag on that particular railing, facing the relentless power of the rapids. Karina Dubois, Sienna's maid of honor who had endured 15 years of agonizing uncertainty, was among the first to be re-interviewed. Her initial statements were cross-referenced against her current recollections, not in an accusatory manner, but with the understanding that memory, evolves, and previously insignificant details might now hold profound meaning. Investigators gently probed for any forgotten conversations, any fleeting observations, or any subtle shifts in Sienna's demeanor that day, hoping to unlock a dormant piece of the puzzle. The investigation's scope expanded far beyond the confines of Goat Island. Detectives began to consider broader connections: local hotels and resorts near Niagara Falls, businesses operating in the vicinity, and even border-crossing records, given the international nature of the region. The possibility that Sienna had left Goat Island alive, or that her disappearance was orchestrated by individuals with access to the wider infrastructure of the tourist hub, became a central tenet of the new inquiry. The reopening of the case, fueled by the tangible evidence of the veil, brought with it immense public and internal pressure. After 15 years, and with renewed hope for Sienna's family, the investigative team understood the profound responsibility they carried. The expectation was clear. After so long, and with a concrete lead this time, they had to deliver answers. The cold case was now burning hot, demanding a resolution to the enduring mystery of the vanished bride. The meticulous forensic examination of Sienna Park's veil fragment, a process that consumed countless hours in the laboratory, finally yielded its extraordinary secrets. Embedded within the delicate tool, invisible to the naked eye, technicians identified microscopic traces of iridescent fountain glitter and a specific chemical compound consistent with a widely used hairspray. This particular combination was not random. The glitter, distinct in its composition, and the hairspray, with its unique polymer signature, pointed unequivocally to a commercially packaged hotel vanity kit. The implication was profound. Sienna's veil had, at some point very close to her disappearance, been in proximity to products commonly found in guest rooms of upscale establishments. This revelation drastically narrowed the investigative focus. The search shifted from the vastness of Niagara Falls to the numerous hotels and resorts dotting the landscape around the iconic landmark. Detectives embarked on the painstaking task of cross-referencing hotel housekeeping logs from the fall of 2001, a monumental undertaking given the volume of records and the passage of 15 years. They sought any anomalies, any unusual bookings, or any guest requests that might align with the newfound forensic evidence. The sheer tedium of this archival deep dive eventually paid off. Buried within the paper trails of a prominent hotel overlooking the falls, investigators uncovered evidence of a complex room switch scheme. This was not a simple booking error, but a deliberate, orchestrated manipulation of guest records, suggesting premeditation and an attempt to obscure the true identities or activities of certain individuals. The scheme involved the discreet transfer of a reservation, seemingly for a newlywed couple, to a different, less conspicuous room, bypassing standard check-in procedures. As the threads of this deception unraveled, a critical witness emerged. Through the re-examination of old hotel security footage and guest registers, a tourist, who had been filming their own Niagara Falls vacation in 2001, was identified. This individual had unknowingly captured footage of a woman, dressed in bridal attire, at the hotel's grand entrance on the very day Sienna vanished. When this footage was carefully analyzed against known photographs of Sienna Park, it became chillingly clear. The woman in the video was not Sienna. This was the wrong bride, a different individual posing as the newlywed, inextricably linked to the room switch scheme at the hotel. The intricate web of the hotel's operations now came under intense scrutiny. The hotel concierge at the time, Pavel Novak, a figure with intimate knowledge of guest services and room assignments, was identified as central to the room switch scheme. His name appeared on logs related to the irregular booking. Simultaneously, the broader scope of the investigation, considering the proximity to the Canadian border, brought border agent Ruth Delgado's records into relevance, suggesting that the wrong bride or others involved might have crossed international lines, complicating the pursuit of the truth. The breakthrough was undeniable. After 15 years, the cold case was now a live, complex criminal investigation. The intricate web of deception, patiently unraveled over 15 years, finally converged into a chilling narrative of Sienna Park's disappearance. The microscopic traces of fountain glitter and hair spray on her veil, undeniable evidence of a hotel vanity kit, provided the crucial link to the room switch scheme orchestrated at a prominent Niagara Falls hotel. This scheme, meticulously designed to create a false trail, was further exposed by the unwitting tourists' footage of the wrong bride, a woman impersonating Sienna, ensuring that any initial search would be misdirected or delayed. Pavel Novak, the hotel concierge, was identified as the architect of this intricate manipulation of guest records, his actions facilitating the initial stages of Sienna's removal from public sight. Border agent Ruth Delgado's records, initially an obscure detail, revealed movements across the international border that provided further context to the elaborate cover-up. The culmination of this painstaking investigation revealed a calculated plot. Sienna Park had not accidentally fallen, nor had she taken her own life. She had been deliberately lured away from the photo shoot under false pretenses, likely incapacitated, and then removed from Goat Island. The wrong bride was a diversion, intended to buy critical time for those responsible. The evidence strongly suggested Sienna's body, like her veil, had ultimately been consigned to the powerful currents of Niagara Falls, a tragic and permanent disappearance designed to leave no trace. While her physical remains were never recovered, the meticulous reconstruction of events left little doubt as to her fate. Accountability arrived swiftly. Pavel Novak was arrested and subsequently convicted for his central role in the room switch scheme and its direct connection to Sienna's disappearance, facing severe penalties for his complicity in the elaborate cover-up. Further individuals, whose identities emerged during the expanded investigation, were also implicated and faced legal repercussions for their involvement in the deception and the subsequent obstruction of justice. The precise details of the motive and the full extent of the conspiracy were laid bare, exposing a cold, premeditated act beneath the guise of a joyous occasion. For Karina Dubois and Sienna's family, the resolution brought a complex and profound emotional reckoning. After 15 years of agonizing uncertainty, the truth, however devastating, offered a form of closure. The endless questions finally had answers, replacing the torment of the unknown with the grim reality of what transpired. Yet this closure was steeped in renewed grief, a fresh wave of sorrow for the beautiful future Sienna had been denied. Her memory was no longer suspended in a void of mystery, but anchored by the knowledge of her final moments. The case of Sienna Park stands as a testament to the unwavering persistence of cold case investigators and the transformative power of modern forensic science. It underscores how even the smallest, most overlooked detail, a single strand of tool, can unravel years of deception. Her story remains a stark reminder of the complex human machinations that can hide in plain sight, and the enduring commitment required to bring truth to light, ensuring that even after 15 years, a vanished bride is not forgotten.